On the line with us right now, we have William Draven, the West Coast Regional Manager of Midnight Creative. William, welcome to Fargo, North Dakota. Happy to be hosting you here in October when you bring this show to us.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay, so first and foremost, this tour has been all over the country, and somehow you decided to make Fargo one of the stops. First of all, I appreciate that. Some people think of us as flyover country, but I think that you'll have a lot of people who are excited to go out for an evening of unconventional cocktails and stories. So let's start with this. What is the Serial Killer Speakeasy?
The Serial Killer Speakeasy is a 4-part cocktail experience that combines 4 stories from actual real-life documented serial killers with dramatic monologue presentations of their stories from 4 unique perspectives that you may not consider.
Okay, so I get to go out and I'm essentially getting a night of cocktails and a show along with that. Let's start with this one right off the bat, William, which is, let's talk about the ethical nature of this show, right?
Absolutely.
And let's talk about how you, as your company, let's talk about how you handle that idea, which is you're portraying real people and there were real life victims.
Yeah, there were a lot of real life victims, and a lot of communities and a lot of families are still suffering from the aftermaths of the activities that these individuals took place and did. So what we do is we keep our victims of these stories forefront in our minds as we're telling these stories. We're not here to glorify these killers. We're not here to make them something special. They're not the stars of the show. We take extreme measures and graphic language and vulgarity to express how disgusted we are at them and what they did. And the only reason why we're telling these stories is to examine from 4 different perspectives how monsters exist amongst us, and they walk amongst us in ways that we wouldn't normally consider. So it's a cautionary, pay attention to not only your backyard, but your neighbor's backyard, because the only reason why these killers were successful in part was because people didn't, look into them. People didn't ask the questions in time until it became a larger problem.
Well, I think to myself, so I see one of them listed as Ed Gein. And, that's Wisconsin. That is, just a hop, skip, and a jump. It's one state over from where we are in North Dakota. And in high school, I did a report on Ed Gein, and that was the kind of the clinch pin. It was like, it was so unassuming. Nobody thought that this human being who lived just down the road from them was this monster. And so when you tackle these stories, it must be, first of all, I want to know how you shake it off at the end of the day, but it must also be interesting to dig into the fact of these people who exist amongst us.
Yeah. So interesting you bring up Ed Gein, because Ed is the role that I play when I'm on cast. Although I do have a very fond spot for all of them in my heart, because I wrote program. But to answer the question about how I shake it off, man, I've got a ritual. Every time I go off stage, I go into the back of the kitchen. The first thing I do is I go straight for the sink. I run cold water over my hands and over my face to kind of wash off that character. And then when I get home, because the show is immersive, so even though I wash it off immediately after a set, I still have to be in character for 90 minutes. I still have to maintain that character while I'm serving. All the characters are completely immersive throughout the entirety of the show. And so as soon as I get home, man, it is a long, hot shower to physically and metaphorically wash off the depravities of those characters.
I mean, when I look at your tour schedule for the Serial Killer Speakeasy, I can see, you've been everywhere, Panama City, Florida, Washington, D.C., Roswell, New Mexico, Phoenix, Detroit, Chicago, including you guys just had a stint in Minneapolis as well. So we're pretty close to a Minneapolis audience. Did you have I guess a nice reception from the people of the Twin Cities when you went through?
We have. I've not been in a city yet that has not been a warm reception. I think a lot of people that come to the show come in not really knowing what to expect, and they walk out either feeling educated or they walk out saying, that was tactfully and respectfully done, and they appreciate it. We do occasionally get some complaints that we don't go deep enough, but I've got 90 minutes to tell 4 stories. And each of those stories I could write a 3-hour show on. So, obviously I kind of have to hit the tip of the iceberg on each of them.
Well, and you certainly are grabbing something that's popular. I think to myself, the most popular podcasts out there are those real life true crime podcasts, and the individuals that you're talking about in your show that they're being portrayed are usually at the forefront. I mean, heck, Netflix just had a major bump in watchers when they released their Jeffrey Dahmer piece. So I guess let me ask you this, William: who is actually being portrayed during one of your shows?
Sure. So we have 4 killers in the show. The first killer that you're going to see is Ed Gein. Ed will be a first-person dialogue, and Ed's perspective is a juxtaposition of morality with a theological Christian background, and how somebody who can be so religious and raised to be so religious can be self-professed to be religious and yet be so deadly and dangerous and so amoral to their God's commandments. The second story is going to be John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy is not told from Gacy's perspective. It's told from the perspective of a cop that investigated Gacy and was responsible for bringing the bodies out of his house and finding the bodies in the river. The cop is plagued by nightmares from this case and really blames himself for being a bad cop and not catching Gacy sooner because the writing was on the wall. So they take a lot of personal blame for the victims, and they've become this jaded, hard-boiled, noir-like detective. And sort of the subcontext there is just how people who are out there in the front lines cleaning up the messes these assholes create. Can I cuss? Can I say that?
No, probably not. Probably not. But keep
Okay.
going. Keep going.
I'm so sorry. Cleaning up the messes that these individuals create, and just the psychological effect that has on them. The third story is Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer is told from Dahmer's own perspective, post-mortem. And Dahmer is reflecting on the fact that he's all about control, and he's all about that monsters don't look like monsters. They don't look like things that we see on TV. Villains don't show up. They don't monologue and declare themselves, this massive presence. They exist in your backyard. They exist in your neighbor's house. They exist in your community. They look normal, and that's what makes them dangerous. Our final story is Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is told from the perspective of a bartender who served Bundy in Florida at the very, very end of his criminal career. We talk about the victims of the Chi Omega sorority house off Jefferson Street. And Bundy is told in a way that makes Bundy because he's such a narcissistic character, it makes him a passenger in his own story. And it's really a story about Carol Duranche, who is one of his victims that survived him and how she fought back. And it's a feminist piece. It's a piece that empowers women. It empowers victims. And at the end, we conclude the show with a toast to Carol Duranche for her bravery, to the other victims who testified, and to all the women out there that are victimized of violent acts, domestic and otherwise, and sort of, we toast to them and to those that are done being silent.
William Draven is with us, and we're talking about the Serial Killer Speakeasy coming to Bonanzaville October 2nd and 3rd. Tickets available right now. We'll give you some information on that. Okay, you're able to accomplish all of those stories in 90 minutes? Like you said, I could sit and watch that. I could go to a show each night individualized.
Yeah. It's impressive. we are able to get that packed into 90 minutes.
I mean, that's incredible. Okay, so not only do I think people would just come out to see this show, but then you also add this extra, element to it to sip the story, so to speak. And there's 4 themed cocktails paired with each tale. So each tale you get a different cocktail with that. What's the idea behind making this not only an amazing story and an amazing performance, but to also include, a handcrafted cocktail?
So dinner theater was a huge thing, and we, my company, Midnight Creative, we are basically pioneering the genre of cocktail theaters, and we combine 4 drinks that are styled after the individual stories, paired to each of the stories with the production. Our first beverage is the Cauldron Punch. It is a rustic spiced apple cider with bourbon. That's designed to kind of be sort of something you expect to find in somebody's cabin, who lives on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Apple's farm, kind of vibe we're going for. The second drink is called the Killer Clown. It is Campari, it's vodka, it is white grape juice, it's white peach cranberry, and it is a little bit of lemon juice. It really tastes like a Capri Sun, an alcoholic Capri Sun. And John Wayne Gacy was a pedophile. So, it's sort of a dark comparison there, that you're drinking such a nostalgic drink that you feel like you would have had as a kid, minus the alcohol, obviously. But it's deadly, it's dangerous because it has alcohol in it. We go on to Apartment 213, which is the drink that pairs with Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, it's the modified vodka cranberry with a little bit of lime, a little bit of lemon. And, in the bar business, vodka cranberry, we often joke that it's a pretty basic drink. And the comparison there is that Jeffrey Dahmer was also a pretty basic killer. And we kind of, make fun of him in that regard. Obviously, we use a lot harsher language with that, which we can't say on the air. And we top it with coconut flakes. And we joke that the coconut flakes are they're shaved human bones, which taste ironically just like coconut. And that's tying into the fact that Dahmer was cannibalistic and dealt with dismembering people. The last drink is called the Charming Stranger. It is a cookie butter martini with vodka as a base spirit. It's delicious. It's sinful. It's creamy. It's charming. And it's everything you would expect from the narcissistic individual that was Ted Bundy. And also it's very dangerous too, because you probably don't want to drink 2 or 3 of those things too quickly, because the alcohol would catch up with you.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, and I also should call this out too. The Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy that Midnight Creative, your company has already made a stamp. They came out here already, and I heard rave reviews. I think most of those were sold out for you, and I imagine the Serial Killer Speakeasy will do exactly the same. And it's easy to get tickets. And I will also say, I've looked at this. All of the VIP front row seats for Fargo on October 2nd and 3rd are sold out already. So GA tickets are left. So these folks out there who are saying, yep, listen, this is the way I want to kick off my October, your opportunity to get tickets are here. But I have to imagine that this is going to be another sellout that takes place at Bonanzaville. And you couldn't have picked a better place than where history comes to life, literally, at Bonanzaville. And so what a cool thing that you're doing here. William, just out of curiosity, how long have you been curating events and experiences like this?
I have been with the company for just over 6 years now. We started just as the COVID crisis began to lock everything down. We transitioned from doing outdoor beer festivals to doing curated cocktail pop-up events. We've had several shows. You mentioned the Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy. That is one of them. And we are developing several more. We just launched a Edgar Allan Poe musical with music by Danny Elfman, the legendary musician Danny Elfman.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in New York right now. It's going to come west here in about a year or so. And then we've got a pirate show that's coming. We've got that, and the music in the pirate show is written by Steel Panther.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we're super excited about that. And we have a lot of other IPs that are coming out that will be same ideas. It's cocktail theater, but there's obviously going to be something for everyone.
We have a text in at our KFJO text club that says, Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect. Loved it. So there you go. So you've already built up a fan group up here in the upper Midwest. We look forward to seeing you again Friday and Saturday, October 2nd and 3rd. There's a 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. On Saturday. On Friday, a 6, 8, and 10. What a great opportunity. Now, I don't know if you know this, William, but like they also do a lot of ghost tours out there because there's a lot of hauntings in Bonanzaville with all those historical places. So you could not have picked a better venue to bring the Serial Killer Speakeasy to West Fargo and our whole FM area.
Oh, I can't wait. We are going to have so much fun there.
Okay, that's fantastic. And then, by the way, you can get tickets by going to feverup.com. It's easy to find it. Bonanzaville has posted it. I'll also make sure on this podcast to give it there as well. And I also want to mention mocktails are available upon request. So if you do not want to take in alcohol, you can still come to this and have a really great mocktail along with it.
Yeah, the mocktails are just as good, if not better than the actual alcoholic drinks.
So cool. William Draven, West Coast Regional Manager of Midnight Creative, also portraying Ed Gein in part of this tour. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And we'll see you out at Bonanzaville for the Serial Killer Speakeasy.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. You guys are awesome. We'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone. Be safe out there.